Today's podcast is coming to you from Subject Matter, a creative advocacy firm in Washington, D.C. Now it's time for an original podcast that actually enjoys talking about getting older and absolutely loving it. Get ready for It Starts Now. Welcome to It Starts Now, the podcast that always embraces getting older and absolutely loving the age and the life that you're in. And with me today, we have Melinda Kelly. Melinda is an author of Finding Your Coach, Diving Deep Within. And for those of you who don't know what a coach is, and we're not talking about the handbag, because I have a coach here. I'm not giving that up. But we're talking about a life coach. And I'm going to let Melinda explain. This book, by the way, Melinda, is awesome. I love reading it. I love your perspective of what a coach is. But for those who don't know what a coach is, tell me what a coach does. And welcome to the podcast.
Well, first, thank you so very much for having me here. And thank you so very much for your kind words. What could you hope more than to have something that gracious and lovely? I like to think of a coach as someone who, I like to say we're all smart, intelligent people. But every so often we come into something that just sort of stymies us. And part of wisdom is knowing what we don't know and being willing to ask someone to help us. And
right.
Finding a coach, someone to help you, to mentor you, to lead you through a passage or a pathway is sort of what we go to now. We used to have our elder generations. We may not be near them. So a coach sort of fills in that gap of, I need a little help and could you help me please?
So now, what define a coach resistor? Because there are going to be some people that are listening to this show, and they're going to say, "Why do I need someone to help me organize or get myself together? And how is this person going to help me? And how can this coach do this?" So define what a coach resistor is.
Well, I think you very much summed up a coach resistor, which is all of us, because I can do it on my own. And most of the time we can, if we're willing to really look at ourselves. But sometimes we need someone to reflect us back to ourselves. Sometimes we need someone to ask us the questions we really don't want to ask ourselves, or we don't want to answer also. So to me, a coach is someone who helps us get along in our journey. And I don't necessarily, because in sports, you have someone who tells you exactly what to do, and there's a desired effect.
Right.
And if you're going to a business coach, you need your, advertising to be more effective, or you need to boost sales, or, a very tangible result. But when you're looking at yourself and trying to find a new path or how to better approach something, sometimes we don't have the questions because we would change if we knew to. And so a coach resistor is someone who grudgingly goes and gets a little help. A coach resistor is someone who shows up to the meeting, but I find I'm not alone in this. I'm so busy being so smart and knowing all the answers, I'm actually quite stupid. Because they're giving me answers that I said I wanted, and I won't let them in. And I think we all have that to some degree in different ways. For some of us, if we don't know how we relate to authority, if someone says, well, you need to do this, my response is, why do I need to do what you say? Because that's my unruly 5-year-old who doesn't want to take a nap.
So how do we know when we're ready to get a coach? Like, what is that moment of truth that you sit back and you say, I need someone to help me with this. I need someone to help me, sift through the madness and put me in the right path.
I would say for a lot of us, we have fabulous friends and support networks. But as clear as they are, they may not have our answers. And we may need them more to hold us emotionally and to hold us as we're going through this journey. And thank heavens, because without them, without the people that love us, how could we get anywhere?
Right.
And sometimes, without meaning to, our change can threaten them because we're not the same person anymore. Yeah. And if I decide to take on this whole new project, will I be there for them? So it's not that they don't want to be there for us, but they've got their own questions they're dealing with too. Sometimes a coach is just a person who can sit there and say, you know what? You've told me you've had a lifelong desire to paint. And you keep coming up with all these reasons why you can't do it.
Right.
Let me give you the reasons why you can. You've always wanted to sing. And everyone's told you all the reasons you won't be able to, and you won't be a success, and you won't be this. But let me tell you all the reasons why there are a million different ways you could do it that will be fulfilling to you.
So what is the difference between a coach and a therapist?
I love the explanation a friend who is a coach gave, is therapists are all about the past and delving into what happened and how it wounded you and how you survived. And that's all true. But a coach is focused on, where are we going now? How can I help you get where you want to be? What are the dreams you haven't been talking about? And how can I get you comfortable to own them?
I like that. And I never thought of it like that, because you're right. A therapist does concentrate mostly on things that have, brought you to this point, as opposed to how do you get from this point. I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, I've been to a therapist, so I know what you're talking about is absolutely true. But let me ask you this: in your own experience, what kept you fully engaged in a coach?
I've had the best and the worst of experiences.
Oh.
And I'm thankful for that. And I've had the best and the worst experiences from them and from me.
Okay.
Because I have to own that I'm in that room too.
Right.
And what I found is different people will offer you different things.
Yeah.
And even a bad experience teaches you things about you. One person I worked with who is a phenomenal person. And I aspirationally wanted to be there and was so excited, and I was going to be there. And I wasn't ready to be there. And so everything she explained and did and helped was true and helpful and legitimate. And I wasn't able to utilize any of it because I wasn't ready.
Right.
Now, do I get mad at her? Or do I accept that maybe I was ahead of myself? I'm like that little brother or sister that wants to go to the playground with you and they can't make the walk.
Right. And then how long do you think that a person needs a coach? Like, say, for instance, I mean, is there a time limit? Do you figure it out? Okay, I think I'm going into the right path. I don't think I need this person anymore. Is there a time, or you just say, okay, I think I got this?
I think both.
Okay.
Because, and the reason I say that is there will be someone that you work with in one area, and as they expand professionally, you may want to continue with them.
Right.
And I also feel it's really important to say there's a lot of information and a lot of generous people through their websites or Facebook pages or various other resources that are sharing a lot of wonderful, great information with you. And you can choose to work with some people that offer it without charge. And there are people that obviously this is their business.
Right.
As you change and your needs change, you may want to continue working with someone, or you may really be in one area and enjoy working with them for that, and then say thank you. And then as something else comes up, you may want to work with someone else on another. So as you're starting, if you're an artist and you're dealing with wanting to start painting and getting over your fears, that may be one person. But if you then need to talk with someone about how do I become known? How do I work social media? You may want to work with someone else who really that's their forte.
Oh, I like that because I had this all wrong. I thought that the coach part was basically that person that says, you just brought up the social media thing, and that's the part I want to touch on. That person is saying, "Oh, okay, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to stop doing this. Let me show you how to do this." But you're basically saying that the coach is guiding you to that next level.
Yes, and as we grow, we'll have different questions. And sometimes they might be the people we want to keep working with. And sometimes they may have given us all their gifts and we need to look at someone else.
Okay. One of the things that I wanted to ask you before we wrap is that, and I was reading something that I got from my email that you sent. You said, find the right coach for your personality and ensure your investment is a sensational success. How much of an investment are we talking about?
Oh, it can be everything from, I would say, the $25 to $100 to $1,000. Everybody's all fixated on the 97, the 47, the 97, the 197.
Yeah, right.
It can be anything, which is why I think it's important to know there's everything out there.
Right.
And the biggest part of this is ultimately it's what we bring. It's our willingness to look at who we are and what we want and how willing are we to make change in our own life. I'd like to think I'm perfect, and so it must be everyone else. But I've sort of had to accept that maybe it's me. And by asking myself who I am has helped me to be able to work better with other people and to be more comfortable in my own skin. It's having our dreams and being able to dream them. And whether I win the Nobel Prize or I make one person happy, I have achieved a dream and made myself happy with publishing my own book, with having a book out there.
I love what you just said. And that is your dream. And that is something that you wanted to do. I love everything you just said.
Well, thank you. And I love the idea of everything does start now. And at any time, we can start over. We can begin. We can do whatever. At every moment, we can embrace life. We can be who we want to be. We can change things. That we are a dynamic, ongoing, ever-changing, fabulous being. That it's in our hands. It's all what we want to do.
And with that, Melinda, you just gave me the best closing. MelindaJKelly, author of Finding Your Coach, Diving Deep Within. How can our audience pick up this incredible book?
Well, thank you so very much. It's available on Amazon.com. You can also find me at MelindaJKelly.com.
MelindaJKelly, thank you so much for being on this podcast. And it really does. It does start now. And just like she said, getting a coach, finding yourself, getting with the right person to get yourself going for 2019. Thank you so much, Melinda, for being a guest.
Thank you so very much for having me.
It starts now. Thank you so much for listening to this version of It Starts Now. And join us again for our next podcast. Until then, this is Juanita. Bye-bye.